Well, hey everybody, Cookster here, and welcome to the video I've been waiting over a year to make. You can't figure it out already? Here we go. It's Model A time. Let's go. Let's go. I told you I'm not right. Anyway, it's Model A time. Let me get the camera off the tripod, and I will give you a brief once around, and then I'll explain what we're doing. So here we go. Let's get it. Alright, obviously this is my 31 Model A 4-door sedan. Yeah, I said 4-door, I said sedan. This is not a coupe, it's not a roadster, it's not one of the cool cars, but I love these sedans. If I could have found the 2-door, I would have bought one. I couldn't find the 2-door that I could afford. I found this 4-door in my price range. Found it for what I think is a very good price. I shopped for years and years online, offline, here and there, trying to find one of these cars as a quote-unquote project car, not one that was already finished. And these things are expensive. This 4-door sedan was a good deal. I'm not going to tell you what I paid for it because I just don't think that's a smart move on my part. But I got it for what I think is a really good price. Bought it from, I live in Georgia, I live south of Atlanta. Bought it from a fella in Texas, North Texas. So me and a buddy of mine, a very good friend of mine, drove nearly 24 hours straight to Texas and back. Sound like I'm doing the the Smokey and the Bandit intro. Drove nearly 24 hours straight to Texas and back, picked this thing up and brought it back home, and here it is. The fella I bought it from, I believe, is following my YouTube page. So if you're seeing this, again, thanks for selling me your car. This is going to be a great project for me. I'm trying to grow my channel. So tell all your street rod buddies, and I'm probably going to put this on the ham at some point, the ham internet user group, you know, full of street rods. But I don't want to do it too soon and seem like I'm being a ego thing and trying to. Anyway, I probably should put it on the ham at some point. It's going to be a good build for me. But anyhow, I'm going to give you the quick once over on the car. As I said, 4-door sedan, 1931. This car is all original. It's bone stock. Got the bone stock 4-banger in it. However, the engine is taken apart. I don't know if the engine would run if I tried to put it back together. I've never built one of these. I don't have any intention of trying to build it. I'm not going to try to build it. So that's what I should say before I get too far. This is going to be a street rod. I'm not doing traditional. You guys that are fan of traditionals, I'm sorry. You know, I understand. I appreciate what you do. But this is going to be a street rod. I've wanted to build one of these as a street rod since I was 17 years old. And that's a long time ago. So it's going to be a street rod. Big tires, mag wheels, modern drivetrain, nice paint job, good interior, the whole 9 yards. Or at least as much of the 9 yards as I can afford. But as it sits now, this car is bone stock. Stock frame, stock drivetrain, stock everything. I have not begun tear down yet. The interior appears to be, you know, a completely stock interior. The guy I bought this from said the guy he bought it from had it restored, whatever restored meant, back in the 70s. So let me move in the shop, and I've got a pretty good list of parts. Not list, I've got a pretty good stash of parts that I've already bought. Parts from Speedway, parts from Summit, and just parts from parts, pieces and parts. So let me get in the shop right quick, and I'll show you my to-do want list and talk about a few of the parts I'm going to be using. So just hold on a second. Alright, so on my Model A, first thing I want to talk about is my build list, wish list, what I'm going to do, whatever you want to call it. So the first thing, I'm going to build a 32 style frame. Yeah, what is on my, yes, I said build. I'm going to make it from scratch. I've seen a few folks on the ham do it. I've heard of people doing it. I know people have done it. You know, I'm one of those types that if they can do it, I can do it. I've got the tools. I'm a fabricator. I can weld, all that good stuff. So I'm going to build my own frame. Part of that reason to doing that was a couple reasons. I want to do it, dollars. And the other thing I want to do, I'm going to stretch the wheelbase 4 inches or so. Something like in that range. And the reason is I'm building a street rod. So I'm going to have a modern drivetrain. Those 32 engine bays are really short, 31, 32. So lengthening the wheelbase will allow me not to have to squish the engine up into the firewall or into the radiator. It's just what I want to do. You know, not scrunching the firewall back, not, you know, up in my knees and my chest. I'm not overly tall, but I'm not short either. So now I want to try to get as much cab room inside these things. If you've never been in one, I was shocked at I'd never actually been in a real one until here recently. I was actually shocked how small those things are inside. Only ever seen them in magazines. You just don't really realize it till you get up there and see one for real. So, you know, I'm trying to keep all the interior room I can. So anyway, I'm stretching the frame, making my own frame. So that's wish list item number 1 or 1A or however you want to call it. I went ahead and wrote it down. Probably gonna get a new dash. As far as the fuel tank and the dash goes, I'm not going to use the Model A style fuel tank, obviously. So I'm going to take the fuel tank out and either cut the tank off of it. If the tank is no good, I'll cut the tank off and keep the original Model A, you know, cowl skin. If for some reason that tank happens to be good, which the car's in pretty good shape, I'd say the odds are 60-40. It is in good shape. If for some reason that tank happens to be good, I really don't have the heart to cut it up and ruin a good stock tank when I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there looking for an original stock tank that's not full of holes. So I'll find out when I get that far. If I wind up having a good tank, I'll probably wind up trying to sell it. I'll see. We'll talk about that way down the road when I get that far. So anyway, it'll be a, you know, modern fuel tank, either in the back, you know, in the side rails. I don't know yet. Something more modern. So anyway, that's that. I got a 32 grill for it. I showed in the video a while back, kind of a teaser. Maybe I'll pop a picture of it here up right quick. Bought a Brookville 32 grill and a stainless grill shell already fitted. It was expensive, but they're fitted together. It's the way I wanted to go. It's supposed to be a real nice fit. Everybody, you know, Brookville makes good stuff, so I've got that. Going on down the list, 2 or 3 of these items are related or whatever. They're part of the same big project. So I'm going to put some big tires on the back, like big wide fat tires. I've already bought some. I'll show you in a moment. I've got some 12-inch wide street tires. I've always wanted that big and little hot rod look. I thought about getting some 15s or 18s, but I thought that's just, well, number one, they're really damn expensive. Them tires, the 12-inch tires I bought are almost $500 for 2 of them. No, almost $500 a piece. So the 18s or 12s was even more. So I thought, that's just going too far. I love that look. I wish I could have done it if I'd have had more pocket change, which I didn't and don't. Whatever. I bought 12s. So obviously I've got to narrow down a rear end. I've got a 9-inch Ford rear out of a Ford truck that's, you know, way too wide. So I got to narrow it anyway. So I'm going to narrow that down, fit those big tires. That'll also mean some small-ish wheel tubs inside the cabin, which they won't be huge, but there'll be some tubs in there, bigger than, you know, wider than normal. So anyway, a narrowed 9-inch Ford rear end, some wheel tubs, and some big old fat tires. So as I said, I've already bought the tires. I'll show you the tires in a minute. As I said, I've already bought the tires. I'll show you them in a minute, the rear tires. I've already bought the wheels also. I'll show you them in a minute. Well, they're in the box. I'm not going to actually unbox them. I've got a photograph. I'll show you for that here in a minute too. Or maybe I won't. I may keep the wheels a secret. I don't know. We'll see. As far as the front end goes, I've got a completely new front suspension, everything. That was interesting. I'm not reusing any of the stock axle, spring, spindles, none of that. It's going to be all a modern, you know, drive line, front to rear, rear to front, however you want to put it. So again, I'll have a complete original front end setup that I'm not using. I may wind up trying to sell one day. Again, I know a lot of folks are trying to build traditional and looking for that stuff. But mine's going to have a new axle, spring, spindles, everything. I bought it all from Speedway. Well, most of it from Speedway. I got a Posey's 32 heavy axle reproduction axle and their spring that goes with it, and then I've got brakes. All the other stuff came from Speedway. Thank you, Speedway. By the way, not sponsored. I bought all this stuff, my own money. No sponsorship here. You want to? Well, I ain't big enough for that yet. But anyway, so next on the list, I want to fab a one-piece hood, and not really a one-piece as in one, top to bottom. I'm going to make a top piece. The original folds in the middle. I want to make a one-piece hood, and obviously my wheelbase is going to be 4 inches longer, which means the hood will be 4 inches longer in some fashion or another. So I got to make a new hood anyway. So I want to fashion a one-piece top hood. I'm probably not going to run hood sides, but then again, who knows? I haven't thought that far along to decide yet. Not having cool. The picture of the car I have in my head does not have hood sides. We'll put it that way. We'll see. Okay, for the roof, everybody knows the Model A has the insert. I guess it was fabric originally, I think. Obviously, I have a Sedan, which has the bigger roof, but I want to make a steel roof insert. I'd like to buy one, but those things are expensive. The shipping is tremendously high because you have to ship them by truck. I believe I can do it. There's not a lot of curve on the edges of those things. The roof insert is mostly flat. I've watched some guys on YouTube talk about them or make them, and I believe I got some strategies. I don't have a power hammer or any of that stuff, the big tools like those guys do it, but I've got some ideas in my head. I think of how I can do it with the tools and the skill level I have. I think can do it. Again, that's way down the road, but it is on the list. Now here's a big one that I'm going to get a lot of argument over, I'm sure, if I get feedback or not. I am keeping the fenders and the running boards. Yes, I said it, I know. Fenders and running boards. I love the look of a full fendered street rod, 32 or 31, all those years. Chevrolets, it don't matter what kind of car it is, what year it is. I love the look of those fat fendered, full fendered street rods. And there's roasters, high boys out the yin yang out there. No offense to anybody that owns those cars. They're great cars. There's some incredibly famous cars. There's some incredibly famous cars, some great cars. The roasters and the coupes and all that stuff. I got no issues with them. But for me personally, I love the fat fendered street rod. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm keeping the fenders and I'm keeping the running boards. Now, I know I just said 32 frame, extend the wheelbase, modern driveline, which means wishbones or something. So there's a lot of pieces of that puzzle that don't exactly fit, that I will have to work out one day. I'll have to probably make running boards, which I'm not too concerned about. The fenders are obviously totally different in the rear on a 31 to a 32. I'm talking about the front fenders, sorry. And then the wishbone sticking out and the curve in the rail, and there's a whole lot of things there that has to be worked out. I know that, but that's my plan at this point, and I hope it stays. I hope it comes to fruition. I hope it comes true. As far as running gear, I've already talked about 9-inch forward rear. I have two 351 Clevelands. One is an original 351 Cleveland. It was in the car my dad bought new in '72. So that car, that engine has been in my family, or been with me, kinda, quote unquote, its entire life. It's been out of the car now for 20 years probably, because the car's been way gone, way years ago. But I pulled the engine out and saved that engine, because I knew, Cleveland's one of my favorite Ford engines of all time. There's lots of others, but Cleveland's I love a Cleveland engine. I also have a 4-bolt main Cleveland block that I bought many years ago that I have, and I may use that. I don't know. In the Clevelands, what a lot that I've read in the years since is the 4 bolts on a Cleveland didn't really add a lot of strength like they said did maybe on the Chevrolet. Something having a 4-bolt versus a 2-bolt. But I got a complete Cleveland and I got a block that I can build up. I'm going to probably go with aluminum heads, all that stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm thinking about stroking it. I say it again. That's a big. The pile of money here is just starting to grow exponentially. So I don't know, and the Lord knows this little car would not need that much power. The stock Cleveland alone with some good aluminum heads is going to make plenty of power for this little car especially. Now there is a wish list item, well, not really a wish list, what's the term? Whatever. I'd love to put a blower on this car, but that's, I think, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Way out of my price range. So that's more than pipe dream. There you go, pipe dream item. Put a blower on it. That's more than 99% not going to happen. I could do 2 4s or 3 deuces or something different like that. I don't know. Well, that's way down the line, way out. But the point is that Cleveland's gonna make plenty of power anyway without having a blower on it or being stroked or all that mess. So as far as my wish list goes, the things I've got written down, that's it. The one last thing I wrote on the bottom was just for my memory to talk about it. I'm going to make a new subframe for the car. It's got to fit the 32 frame anyway, so the car seems to have a pretty good floor in it, but I don't know how good it is. I'm probably just going to wind up making up a new floor, new sub rails, get rid of all the wood. I'm not sure how much wood's in the sedan. That's a 31. I'm going to get rid of all the wood, whatever it takes to brace it with steel. That's what I'm going to do. New, like I said, new subframes, new floor, all that good stuff. I think, Mr. Haney, no. So I think that's it. That's all I had written down on my wish list. So let me show you a few of the items I'm talking about, and then we'll wrap this video up, even though I cut my head off. Hey. So here's the rear tires. They're 12 inches wide, 29, 30 inches tall, something. They're Hoosier, they call them street radial, something. Black walls, you know. Look up the Hoosier tire on like Summit or whoever. That's the tire. I could have got Mickey Thompson's. These seem to have a little bit better review on a strictly street car. I don't know. I got these. Next is my T5 transmission. This is out of a Mustang. It's got the tail end shifter point, which puts it way too far back for a street rod. So I wind up American Powertrain or one of those companies, I forget which one. They make a new rear section that has the shifter, the S10 shifter position way up front. They're expensive, but it's, you know, instead of having to go around and find the S10 tail housing to swap onto this, you know, if you don't know about T5s, look them up. You can put the S10 tail housing on a Mustang or a T5 box, which are all the same. Well, not all the same, but anyway, you can put an S10 shifter housing, tail housing, which has a shifter up front. And it works a lot better for a street rod. It's just they're hard to find now, and I think some of the internals are not as good. Anyway, you can buy this piece new from American Powertrain or somebody. It's expensive. Not sure which route I'm going to go yet, but that's a Mustang box, Mustang Ford input shaft, which will work on my Ford. Next is a front axle and spring. That's a Posey's axle reproduction of a 32 heavy axle, which it took me a long time to figure it out, to realize that the 32 axle from the factory stock is already a 2-inch drop. I kept looking for 2-inch drop axles for the longest time and couldn't find them, and now I understand why, because stock axle is 2-inch drop. Duh, don't be me. Anyway, that's the 32 reproduction heavy axle, as I said. That's the spring that Posey's recommended to go with it. So new axle, new spring. The rest of the suspension that I bought is all in these boxes. I'm not going to unbox that now. I've already got it stashed away where I want it till I have to get it out. So that's all right there. These are my wheels. They're US mags. The two rears are 15 by 10. The fronts are 15 by 7. I was going to unbox them and show them to you, but I'm going to keep those a secret. The US mags, that gets you in the right direction. But I'm not going to show you those just yet. So sorry. I bought a new radiator. This is a Champion aluminum radiator. I just couldn't see paying $700-800 for an AFCO or a Griffin. I'm sure they're probably worth it, You guys that have them, I'm sure you're glad you got them, but I just couldn't see paying that. This Champion was like $250. It was on sale for Black Friday. $250, $225, something like that. And I upgraded to the 3-core, so it's a 3-core aluminum, 32 Ford radiator, supposed to fit that shell. Hopefully it will. So that's the radiator. So if you haven't already figured it out, I need all these parts for mock-up. I got to mock up my front end, suspension, the engine, drivetrain, transmission, radiator, all that stuff. I told you I'm stretching the frame. All that stuff's got to be mocked up so I can see what's going to fit and what's not going to fit, and vice versa. Plus, these were all this stuff is from a Black Friday sales. Not all of it was on sale, but some of it was pretty good prices. I'm looking around, I don't see anything else, so I think that's it for the parts that I have that I want to show you. So anyway, by the way, I just got my dad's doors primed in epoxy primer so I can start doing the filler work. I got to put a skim coat of filler on them. They're not bent, but the section in here where I planished the wells out, where it was caved in really bad, well, not caved in, but sunk in, shrunk really bad. I do have to put filler on that. But the doors themselves, you can see the upper part of the skin is straight. There's a couple small dents in there. Anyway, I just finished doing that a few minutes ago. So there's a prime and ready to do some filler work on. And I guess that's it. So anyway, that's the end of the video. I know it's not a real build video, but it's a start. We got to start somewhere. I am actively working right this moment on painting the doors for my dad's truck, which you can't, it's not painting, priming the doors for my dad's truck with epoxy primer. And then I've got to fix a Bobcat cylinder on my Bobcat, and I can finally get that Model A moved. So I'm actively working now, right this moment, after I get through filming, on getting that Model A in here. So I'm hoping in a couple days, 3 days, maybe Christmas Day, maybe after, day before, just tomorrow, I'll actually have the Model A in here and start doing some teardown. I'm hoping, but every time I say that, something happens and I get those plans get changed. So anyway, thanks for being here. I appreciate you looking in. Sorry it's been so long since I posted. For those subscribers that are coming back, thanks for coming back and sticking with me. I'm still trying to gain new ones, so as I've been saying, got to keep beating you over your head with it. Be sure and subscribe and tell your friends and buddies, and if you like the stuff, share it around. I am trying to grow my channel, and the only way I can do it is with your help. So I do appreciate it. Once again, Merry Christmas to everybody that celebrates. Have a good time. If you don't, have a good everything, whatever. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Y'all come back now, you hear? Ho, ho, ho.